Hey, everybody. I'm Stephen Warren Hill talking to you from my home office on the northwest side of the city of Chicago, Illinois. That's the Portage Park neighborhood for you locals.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nick Seidler, and I'm coming to you from my home in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the USA, which more specifically in the suburb of Wauwatosa.
We are your co hosts for this year's Chicago Tardis 2020, our 21st annual Doctor Who event held each year on Thanksgiving weekend in the Chicago area since 2000. You may have heard me say this already, but I'm going to say it again. With this year's convention going virtual, we recognized that we would have to present a sort of a capsule, like a small snapshot of what our fan-run Doctor Who convention has to offer its attendees, with a purpose to both entertain our audience as well as keep them interested until our next event in 2021. And B, that we would have a potentially global audience this time. So we'd want to show people who have never been to a Chicago TARDIS or indeed any fan-run Doctor Who convention exactly what we do in the best way that we can as a remote teleconference type presentation. I'd like to start out first with a few special thank yous to some of our staff members. And number one is Gene Smith. And Gene is the owner of Alien Entertainment and the founder and chairman of Chicago TARDIS. And I want you guys to know that from day one, he told us he would only do this if we could make it free for everyone, which is exactly what we've done. There's no tickets, there's no registration. To enjoy the convention is as easy as just clicking a link. I think that's pretty significant. You know, we want to make sure that all the fans can enjoy this. All you need is the technology to view it, and you're there. So thank you, Gene Smith. I also want to give a shout out, thank you to Taylor Deathridge. She's done a ton of behind the scenes work over many months and has been absolutely terrific when meeting some of the challenges that have come up this year. And the challenges this year have been unique. The type of challenges we've never had to deal with before. And I hope and think that we've overcome all of them at this point. And also a great big thank you to our technical director, Mike Olson, and the technical engineers, Anna Koss and Holly Hogan. Our tech crew has been working like crazy to plan and prepare everything that we needed, including a lot of stuff, again, that we've never had to do before. And who knows, we might never have to do again, but now that we have the infrastructure, the groundwork laid for this kind of thing, we're talking about doing other events on a smaller scale in the months between in-person conventions. So, you know, stay tuned with that. Also, you know, thank you to the many CT staff members who don't have anything to do this year. I mean, that's really significant, right? We can't put on an in-person convention without so many people contributing behind the scenes and volunteering to do the hard work that it takes to get it done. And this year, so many people, because we're virtual, they've got no work to do. They've got no place to go and or work to tackle for us. And it's sort of like when you're used to doing that kind of challenge and meeting it every year, and all of a sudden that's kind of taken away from you, it leaves a little hole. So for example, we don't need registration, we don't need line management, the green room, we don't need to feed a bunch of people for the whole weekend, guest liaisons, we don't need them, security, they're not needed, the dealer's room staff, all of this stuff. We miss you guys, but we also want to say thank you so much, not only for the work that you've put in the years past, but you also helped this year, and we want to acknowledge that as well. Nick?
Absolutely. A super shout out to all of the staff of Chicago TARDIS. Each of you are important, and we're very happy to have you a part of our team. As Steve said, we're presenting this year with an opportunity to let people know what Chicago TARDIS is like. And while you will get to see some of our guests, some of our panels, some of the events that we have, unfortunately, there's some things that people don't have a chance to experience because it's a virtual convention. But we want to talk about them because it's one of those things that we would ordinarily want to feature, and share with everybody just to make sure that you knew that we have some very unique things that happen at Chicago Tardis that if you were here in person with us, you would have a chance to experience, but because we're virtual, we can't. The first of the ones that I'd like to talk about is Camp Time Lord. Camp Time Lord is a space that we have at our convention. It's a space for families and kids with special events, and there's specific programming that's done in that space for families. Everything from arts and crafts to storytelling to finding a place to make sure that Chicago Tardis is family friendly to all of the attendees. And while we're all connected via the internet, we don't have an opportunity to share that special family space that we would ordinarily let everybody see. And we're very proud of that because it's a way to engage everyone and create a family type atmosphere at our convention, which we're proud of. Another space that's hugely popular and is often seen as a place where a lot of people go, sometimes between panels or other things to rest and relax and have fun, is the Chicago Tardis Game Citadel. Okay, Chicago Tardis has a game room with both original and commercial Doctor Who games that people can stop in and play. So not only will you find commercial games such as like Doctor Who Risk or Doctor Who Trivial Pursuit or Monopoly and games like that have been licensed, but the game staff each year also creates an original game. And a number of the original games that are found there are very popular with the attendees of Chicago Tardis. Some of those include the Rory Adventure game, the K9 game. There are new games that are made every year, which we're very proud of. The staff usually runs role-playing games in the Game Citadel, and I know that there are some attendees who come every year and make sure that they participate in one of the Doctor Who role-playing games. And that's one of those things that you don't have a chance to just wander into the Game Citadel this year and just sit down and decide I'm going to play a new game for a short period of time. However, gaming still does have a presence, and I do want to let people know that they will be running some role-playing games online. And if you want to go and look at the Chicago Tardis Facebook page, there's a link there where you can actually sign up for the role-playing games that they will be featuring. So I definitely wanted people to know that that's still a possibility if that's something that you missed. But make sure that you send that email to sign up if you want to participate in one of the Doctor Who role-playing games. So I'll pass it back to you, Steve.
So I also want to talk about our autographs and photographs because that's a big part of our convention every year. And of course, another piece that we can't offer easily in the virtual realm. And we miss the autographs and photographs crew a great deal. And they also participated in planning this year, even though they weren't going to be contributing work. Ideas come from everywhere. So, autographs and photographs, it's one of those experiences that makes Chicago Tardis unforgettable for a lot of people because that's when they are going to get their chance to stand there with the celebrity guest and trade some jokes and say hello and get a photograph taken, get an autograph. And it's a memorable moment for those people. And that's not to say, I do feel it necessary to point out that a fan-run convention like Chicago Tardis actually offers attendees many chances to bump into the guests because a lot of times the guests just mingle with the attendees. They hang out at the bar. It's very easy. They're very approachable. If they're hanging out, they're not afraid of being approached. So that's something that our convention and some other fan-run conventions can offer that the big name conventions can't. The dealer's room, gosh, our dealer's room is massive, and this year, no dealer's room. Even though there's no physical space to go, we will encourage people to go to alienentertainment.com or the DoctorWhoStore.com and shop for your favorite Whovian goodies, which will be at the con in person next year. In a little while, Taylor Dethridge, whom I mentioned earlier, will be joining us to share information about our charity, but also we're going to find out from her if there are any special deals that Alien Entertainment has set up this year for congoers. And I also wanted to mention our convention still has the old-fashioned video room when we're in person. It presents all kinds of visual entertainment of interest to our attendees on a big screen in high definition. Last year, we kept it running 24/7 during the convention so that even if you woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning or something and you wanted something to do, you would actually have something to go to and sit down and watch something that would be of interest to you. We try to keep these things going at our in-person convention. A lot of times, again, we can't offer these virtually, but we're doing the best we can to sort of present to you, again, a sampler of what Chicago Tardis has. Nick?
Yeah, you know, I want to add to that, Steve, and say because of the fact that we are virtual and that's taking up a lot of time and effort, especially behind the scenes, we're not quite able to do 24/7 programming, even though we're online this year. And that simply has to do with some of the technical requirements that we have. And that's a little bit different, difference between the virtual convention and our in-person convention, because even meeting together in the lobby for LobbyCon is a 24/7 thing that happens at our convention. I think you'll talk about that later. There's a couple other things that are fairly unique to Chicago Tardis or very fun. One is Dalek Alley. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see a place where there's a huge gathering of our favorite mutant colleagues, where the Daleks will show up and people get a lot of pictures and try the voice changers, have a chance to go and sit inside a Dalek and see what it would be like if you were to operate one. That's one of the very fun and special events that I think people like to see, all the Dalek builder clubs that kind of come and support our convention by doing that. I do want to encourage people to go to the Chicago Tardis Facebook page and please post and share some of your memories, including some of the pictures of you with the Daleks from Dalek Alley, and please stay involved and share some of your memories of the convention with other people that may or may not have ever been there before. That family and community feeling is one of my favorite things about Chicago Tardis, and I really want to encourage that we still have that interaction, even though it might be through a virtual platform instead. Another feature of the convention, Steve mentioned the dealer's room. We also have Artist Alley, which we're very proud of. So a chance for non-professionals or professional artists, but also fans and other people who do artwork to feature some of their Doctor Who and genre-related creations, whether they be crafts or dice bags or paintings or other things that are related and of an interest to our attendees. Artist Alley is a great place to go and pick up unique and original artwork and gifts. And that's something that I miss this year because I very often will shop Artist Alley to look for specific things to give to family and friends for the holidays, because it's usually not commercial things that you can find there, but very unique and special gifts. And so that's something that I am missing this year, not being there in person. Another thing that I'm missing is some of our fan club tables. There are clubs from, I'm from Milwaukee, so the Milwaukee fan club is often there. Chicago fan clubs, some other conventions sometimes have fan tables at Chicago Tardis. And it's a great way to know what else is going on within fandom in your area. And there's nothing like meeting real people in person, right? It gives you a chance to connect, to bond, to get to know people before you might go to a fan club meeting in person or a meetup. And so I think that's a great way to kind of relax. And that's one of the other things that we're just not able to present in a way virtually as well as we'd like, but we do encourage fan clubs to post about their meetups and information as part of the Chicago Tardis experience. So whether you're part of the Chronicles of Who or the Milwaukee Time Lords or some of the other clubs that are around, we encourage you to do that. And because we are streaming on the internet, feel free to let us know where your fan club is from anywhere in the world. We'd love to be able to connect with you, and we encourage you guys to come and be a part of our convention, no matter where you are, once we have a chance to meet in person again. Over to you, Steve.
We're already at the 16-minute mark, so we're gonna speed things up a little bit here. When we're in person and all together, we also host dances, small workshops, meet and greets with the celebrities, game shows. Every week we feature the live riffing show Mysterious Theater 337, which actually predates Chicago Tardis and has been a featured event every year at Chicago Tardis since the beginning. And in the past, we've also presented things like plays and comedy shows starring our convention guests. Rest assured, we'll all be moving on to begin planning Chicago Tardis 2021 as soon as we've tied the bow on this one. So enough about the things that we don't have for this year. Let's talk about what we do have. Number one link to remember, and I think Nick is going to remind us again later, but chicagotardis.com. We might throw out some other links at you as we go through the days, but chicagotardis.com is the place to go if you can't remember what those links are. The Sketch link is probably one of the most important, and Sketch is an online service for scheduling conventions, and that's what we're using it for. That's where you can find everything that's scheduled, all the panelists and all the information. ChicagoTardis2020.sketch.com, SCHED. You can make your own personalized schedule. You can, again, like I said, check out the profiles of the panelists. And it's also one of the ways we collect feedback on the individual events. So be sure to use that function as well. And one cool thing is that the Sketch website will adjust to your local time zone if you have your time zone set properly in your profile. So if you're not in the central time zone, which is where all our time settings originate, Sketch will tell you the correct time for your local time for when all the panels are happening. Nick?
Sure. Where to participate. Steve already said this, but I'm going to repeat what he said because I think it's so important. If you need one place to be able to keep track of where we're going, chicagotardis.com. Okay. What's happening now? Where can I go? Where can I link to other things? chicagotardis.com is our very top place that I'm going to send you to. However, I will let you know where else you can participate in this convention. We are streaming to Facebook. I believe that the stream is going to both the main page and also the events page. The events page for this is Chicago Tardis 2020 online. So many of you are probably watching that stream here. Another place that we are streaming is to the YouTube channel for Chicago Tardis. And that's Chicago Tardis as a channel, okay? If you just do a search for Chicago Tardis, you may not find the channel right away because our convention's been around for over 20 years. And so there's a lot of material that's posted, but put in Chicago Tardis channel and you'll find the YouTube link for that. We also want to let you know that if you want to share your schedule from Sketch or you are posting for social media, a couple things that are cool are we have a virtual badge that you can share to let people know that you are participating in this year's Chicago Tardis. And if you are going to post, we have a hashtag, which is hashtag CT Virtual 20. And we encourage you to post and use hashtag CT Virtual 20 if you are posting about this convention or want to share with people. That lets us know about your comments or posts that you have that we can address, and also kind of gets word out about this convention. We really do want to share this with everyone around the world and celebrate Doctor Who and everything that Doctor Who means to us. Our live panels also will be able to have some audience questions. So you can type in to Facebook comments or the YouTube comments, and some of the questions will be selected by the behind the scenes tech staff and our technical engineers and pass those forward to the panel moderators and let them know that that's taking place. I just need to be very clear, just like when we have a real in-person convention, we cannot get to every question. There may or may not be time. Our guests sometimes concentrate on a question because it means a lot to them and we can't get to others. So just be aware of that, right? Like that would be for the live panels that we have. Okay, please know that some of the panels that we have been pre-recorded. That was to be able to adjust to the time schedules of our special guests. Okay. Good examples of some of the pre-recorded panels will be our Big Finish panels. So we're very happy to have Big Finish with us. The Paul McGann panel, the Fraser Hines interview, and those pre-recorded panels are identified in Sketch, and they will get posted at the time that they are scheduled for. So you'll still be able to participate in them. But we'd love that live feedback, and we encourage you to post. Back to you, Steve.
Normally at our on-site convention, we have a traditional opening ceremony and a closing ceremony where we get to say hello and then later farewell to all of our guests. And because we're virtual, we're not really doing that this year, but this very panel is serving as our opening. And Nick and I will be back at 8:00 p.m. on Saturday to wrap things up and give a quick goodbye to all of you. So if we were in person right now, this is the point where I'd be introducing our guests. And I want you to use the superpower of imagination and picture them coming out and waving and saying hi as I introduce them. Now, first of all, we regret to tell you that our guest, Terry Malloy, who was to be interviewed live by Rob Levy right after this panel, has had something come up and will not be able to join us. Since the news just came in right before we went live, we've scrambled as quickly as possible to replace his interview with an impromptu panel about the challenges of preparing and running a virtual convention. We will miss Terry, and we do wish him the best.
Absolutely.
Fraser Hines is our next guest. He will be interviewed by David J. Howe in a pre-recorded interview. Sophie Aldred will be interviewed live by Ross Rudiger. She's a great guest. You will enjoy her. Big Finish, as Nick mentioned, we love to have Big Finish. We've got a long-standing relationship with Big Finish, and our convention friends Jason Hagellery and Nicholas Briggs will be on two panels, one on Friday and one on Saturday, both of them pre-recorded. And Paul McGann, who will be interviewed by Jason and Nick in a pre-recorded interview, is our next guest. Nick?
Sure. I'd like to just maybe talk about a couple of the panels just so that people know what we have that's coming up. Some of the panels that I'm looking forward to for Friday programming are Big Finish behind the scenes. We just talked about Big Finish. And I do want to remind everybody that all of the times that we're talking about are the Chicago time, as if you were right here in Chicago, Illinois, USA with us. So that's US Central Time. And that means that it's Greenwich Mean Time minus 6 hours. If you're trying to adjust, it's the universal time so that you can kind of tune in for those. Big Finish chairman, co-executive producer, Jason Ellery, and executive producer and voice of the Daleks, Nicholas Briggs, will talk through what it's like to be behind the microphone and to put together a Big Finish production and story that we have a chance to enjoy. There will be a second completely different Big Finish panel on Saturday at 3 p.m. So I just really encourage you. And the Friday panel, if I remember correctly, is at 1 p.m. today, Chicago time. Another panel I'm very excited about is the Paul McGann interview panel. It's a pre-recorded panel that will go out at 4 o'clock, featuring Paul McGann, who was the 8th Doctor in Doctor Who, featured in the 1996 TV movie. And he also returned for a short feature for Doctor Who's 50th anniversary called The Night of the Doctor. He's been the actor that's been featured the most in all of Big Finish's stories. I believe he has recorded more stories as the Doctor than anybody else. He will be interviewed by Jason and Nick as well. Another panel that I want to feature is the Doctor Who role-playing games in a virtual environment. We've talked about how this is a virtual event. Our game room staff still gets together and role plays. And right now, Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games are extremely popular. And there have been 3 Doctor Who role-playing games. And a lot of Doctor Who fans still go online, role-play Doctor Who games, and the Game Citadel staff will talk about how they do online games there. And I already mentioned it, but there is still a chance to sign up for slots to play at the Chicago Tardis Doctor Who RPGs on Friday and Saturday night. Make sure you look at the Facebook, sign up for that. What are you looking forward to today, Steve?
Nick's very passionate about his gaming.
I am.
A couple of panels I want to mention. Again, putting on a virtual convention, this was an unexpected panel that's going to happen immediately after this one. At 11 o'clock, it's a replacement for the Terry Malloy interview since Terry can't be with us. We'll see what we can come up with to talk about. I'm sure there's plenty. At 3 o'clock today, The Timeless Children and Continuity discusses recent events in Doctor Who, as well as other times that the show's established history has been shaken up a bit. For example, the Doctor Who TV movie, The Deadly Assassin, things like that. This panel will be moderated by Eric Gulbranson. And at 7 p.m., one panel that I'm particularly interested in watching is called The Maltese Cross on the Tardis. This is a presentation on the history of the St. John Ambulance and the Order of St. John, the largest volunteer ambulance service in the Commonwealth. Presenter Derwin Mack is not just a Doctor Who fan, but also a St. John Ambulance officer, officer of the Order of St. John, and curator of the St. John Ambulance Museum in Toronto. So I am looking forward to a chance to learn something that I don't really know anything about. The St. John Ambulance badge that appeared on the TARDIS from the very first episode of Doctor Who throughout most of the first Doctor era, and again later in the Peter Capaldi era. And we get a chance to learn all about what that means. Nick?
Sure. On Saturday, there's some other panels that I want to kind of point out as well. There will be a Doctor Who music panel, which will be held on Saturday at 12 noon. And that panel will be headed by Rob Warnock, who does original music for Chicago TARDIS each year and has for the past 12 years. As far as we know, we're the only convention, and not just Doctor Who convention, but any convention, that has a yearly soundtrack composed for each year's event. This year is no exception, and at 10:45 a.m. today, the latest variation of the Doctor Who theme will premiere online as a special music video here to celebrate our virtual convention. So watch this year's music video and listen to this year's variation of the theme. This year's Doctor Who music panel will also feature a surprise guest, okay? We're not going to tell you who it is, but mark your schedule, okay? And make sure you don't miss it. This year's panel will look at music from the original series. They will play clips and then analyze and discuss how and why that music is important. So at 2 o'clock, Steve, did you say I should mention gaming? I sure will, okay? You know, the Game Citadel at Chicago TARDIS creates an original game every year for the convention, which means there are games that you can only play at Chicago TARDIS. And this year, the game staff will do a panel at 2 o'clock on Saturday called Doctor Who Board Game Creation. You know, those of you who came to the convention last year know that we featured the Rory Adventure game, which Arthur Darvill played. It was one of the original design games, which was super popular with our attendees. And he actually played the game. He loved it. He had a lot of fun with it. And it was the original game created by the staff. This year's no different. They've created their own game, but they will also talk with everybody to let you know how you can create your own Doctor Who games, share them with people, and really kind of enjoy it. And even though our event is virtual, we still have kind of a game for you this year. I also want to mention one of my favorite attendees of Chicago TARDIS every year is Fraser Hines. And Fraser Hines has done a pre-recorded interview, which will go out at 4 p.m. on Saturday. Fraser played the wildly popular character of Jamie McCrimmon, the Scottish Highlander on Doctor Who. He appeared during the Second Doctor era. He also returned in a Fifth Doctor story, as well as a Sixth Doctor story. He usually brings a lot of great anecdotes about how Doctor Who was first on the air and how it was. There's also another great panel, Darkness Never Prevails, Finding Comfort and Value in Doctor Who, and that's on Saturday at 5. And we're in a time when, you know, because we're of COVID-19 and the fact that we have to social distance, a lot of the times Doctor Who is one of those things that maybe brings us a little bit of happiness or maybe helps us cope with a little bit of the stress that we're dealing with. And that's a panel that's coming right at that issue, and I think is going to be a very positive conversation about how Doctor Who and even the Doctor's values really helps provide comfort and entertainment to us in the midst of these difficult times. And I really want to encourage people to check out that panel. So over to you, Steve.
To wrap up a couple more featured items on our schedule, the Sophie Aldred live interview will take place at 11 o'clock a.m. on Saturday. Interviewer Ross Rudiger will talk to Sophie about her time as Ace and also give some focus to her Doctor Who novel At Childhood's End. Painter Louis Achenbach presents Fan Art is High Art at 1 o'clock p.m. on Saturday, a unique and special demonstration in which Louis performs live painting to a background of classic radiophonic workshop music. Louis has been doing this kind of thing, this live painting, in person at Chicago Tardis for a number of years. If you haven't seen him live painting, it's worth checking out and hopefully unique, and you may not have ever seen anything quite like it. So that one is of particular interest to me personally, and I think you guys would enjoy it a lot too. This year's Masquerade goes virtual with the rest of the convention at 6 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. Our costumed events team will take over and share the multimedia costuming experience with all of us. And it is about 10.
And I think Steve was saying that it's about 10:30. And it being at about 10:30, we were hoping that Taylor Dethridge would be able to join us and talk a little bit about the convention. So Taylor, are you there?
I am. Hello.
Hi, Taylor. How are you doing?
Hi. Good. How are you? Sorry, I'm gonna shift myself because there we go. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this virtual Chicago TARDIS. We're so excited to have you. This is the first for us. I was seeing comments on the stream saying this is the first virtual convention I've been at, and this is the first virtual convention we're putting on. So it's everybody's first today in a great way. But I want to say first, before I do a little rundown of some info things, I want to thank all of our staff that has worked very, very hard behind the scenes. You'll see some of them on the streams this weekend, on panels this weekend, but some of them are behind the scenes entirely. And I want to thank them so very much for making this virtual event a success. And I have seen a lot of comments on our Facebook page and on our Twitter saying, I'm so glad that you're at least doing a virtual event. And so are we. And you can thank all of these hardworking staff members for giving that to us, to you out there this weekend. So thank you very much to all of our amazing staff. Secondly, I would like to go into talking about some important, points that I might want to know. We've had a couple of people ask repeated questions, like a little FAQ rundown, as it were. So if you go on our front page, chicagotardis.com, if you're watching this, you probably already figured out how to stream. So we've got the streaming links there. If you have friends or family who want to watch, you can direct them to the front page. If you scroll down right below that, we actually have important or quick links for the virtual convention. So that includes our guest lineup and also our vendors and artists. So this is a very important point that I want to stress, that we at Chicago TARDIS we love our vendors, we love our artists. They're all small businesses. Many of them are local. As everyone knows, with COVID-19, small businesses in particular have been hit very hard by the circumstances. And so we're encouraging everybody to shop with any of these businesses, all of these businesses, whatever you want to do this weekend. There is a page that's linked in our quick links right below that front page splash, but you can also go up to the navigation menu and hit vendors and artists. And all of our past vendors and artists who have been with us for the last year are listed there. So you can go shop with them. There's a little bit of a feature as to what they sell as well. But again, I saw a few comments in the Facebook stream about people shopping with certain vendors who have steampunk jewelry. They're there. Also bags and cool accessories, they're also there. And then we have our charity auction that we usually do every year. That's an important point of TARDIS as well. Due to the fact that we are virtual, we decided to we are encouraging people to go donate to those charities directly. So we have a link for that too. And on the charity auction page, you can be linked to that directly, or you can go on our virtual quick links and you'll see we have three partners, charity partners. One of them is the long standing one, Northern Illinois Food Bank, who does work with Feeding America. That's an incredibly important organization, especially now. So I would encourage you to go and investigate. You can read all about these charities as well on that page. The Catcade, which is a cat rescue locally in Chicago. They do very good work. They're an open shelter, so they don't cage their cats when you go to adopt them. The cats that they have there, even though their viewing floor that you can spend time with the cats on is closed due to COVID-19, you can still adopt from there. So even if you want to give them money or you're looking for a cat to adopt, you can go and investigate that. And then third, we have the Cancer Research Institute. That is our third charity. We partnered with them for the first time last year. Also an incredibly important organization. You can go read about them as well on our page and give directly. There are links on that page that you can just go right to their websites and donate. So we encourage you to donate to all of those organizations this year.
Taylor, thank you for all that information. Before
problem.
we have you go on your way, though, I'd like to ask our technical moderators to see if there have been any questions that might be directed to you in regards to the convention. And so I'm checking the chat, and the staff have let us know that there have not been any specific questions. How is the convention handling memberships for next year? So I'll just ask that question. So that
no, that's great.
Yep. So go ahead.
I'm sorry. Delay. I apologize.
No worries. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So we have rolled over everybody who is currently, as of summer, signed up for Chicago Tardis 2020. We did roll them over to 2021. So everybody who had a ticket as of June of this year should have a rollover ticket currently. If you do not, please email us, or you can hit the contact us button on the website. But our email is thedoctor@chicagotardis.com. We will resend you your confirmation just in case you didn't get it the first time. Excuse me. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I did have a few people who may not have gotten it the first time, and we just resent it. So that's not a big deal at all. Please get in touch with us. We'll fix it. We want to fix it for you. We will also be opening up 2021 memberships very soon. So probably within the next few weeks, post this event and, kind of resetting for next year. I also want to mention that we do have a hashtag, which is CTVirtual20. Please share your experiences this weekend. If you're watching a panel, whatever you're doing, if you're at home celebrating, I've had a few people seen a few posts about that. Please, tweet us, tag us on Facebook, tag us on Instagram. We will reshare it. We love doing that. And just at Chicago Tardis, you can get our attention that way or use the hashtag. But yeah, that's pretty much, I think, all I have, unless you have anything else for me.
I think that's all that we have, Taylor. Thank you very much for finding time to join us.
Yeah.
We always love seeing you, so thank you.
Thanks, you both very much.
All right.
Of course. Over to you, Steve.
So first I have to apologize. You guys lost. This is one of the potential pitfalls of live transmission over the internet. I lost my internet connection in the middle of a sentence. You just never know, right? What's going to happen. Anyway, how to give feedback about the panels or about the convention in general. Anyone who's attended CT in the past has heard my mantra: feedback, 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 because we can't improve things without knowing what works and what doesn't work. So we encourage you to always let us know what you liked and loved, what you disliked, or even hated. Don't keep it to yourself. We really do want to know. And, this year is a little bit different. We are still going to learn from this experience, obviously. So we still want to know, even though we might not do another thing like this in the future, maybe not, we don't know yet, but we still want to learn. So don't keep it to yourself. Let us know. You can get some practice on leaving feedback by leaving feedback for this panel right after we're done, which is in just a moment or two. And again, like I mentioned earlier, the best place to do that is right inside the Sketch app. You can go and leave feedback for the panels one by one. I think it's about time to wrap this up. Our next panel, maybe some of you have just joined us, is called Putting on a Virtual Convention at 11 o'clock, which is a last-minute replacement for the Terry Malloy interview because Terry cannot be with us, unfortunately. So we've scrambled to put something together for you that's going to start at 11 o'clock.
We have one other thing, actually.
Yeah, Nick?
Steve, there's actually one thing that happens before that panel, and that's the premiere of this year's variation of the theme, the Doctor Who theme and the music video, which will go live at 10:45, just shortly.
All right. So that's all we've got for you right now. Enjoy the programming, leave feedback, and think about joining us in person next year. Nick, any last words?
I just want to encourage everybody, be like the Doctor, spread love, and make the world better.
Okay. Thanks again, everyone.